This is the second of 3 tutorials, and this is the one where we talk about actually using the previously prepared pattern pieces, and we then draw around them using pens or chalks to cut out the pieces that we actually need. Now the process that we use for section 1 and section 2 can be applied to any Funky Friends Factory pattern, although in this instance we are working with these really delightful little platypuses. Platypuses? Platypi? I'm not sure which. Platypi, I think. Anyhow, on to section 2. They are patterns from Funky Friends Factory, and the first tutorial will show you how to print off and prepare the pattern pieces. The second tutorial will show you how to then use those pattern pieces to cut out the fabric that these guys are made from, and the third and final tutorial will show you how to then assemble, stuff and hand finish off the really cute little platypus here. So hopefully you're going to stick around for all 3 of those sections, and off we go.
Right then, so these are the pattern pieces that we're going to be using to make our lovely platy. They've already been backed with card, as you saw in the first part of this series of videos. The construction and the cutting out process are the same whether you're making a platypus or a lion, a dragon, a bear, no matter what creature you're actually creating. These are the steps you need to go through for a Funky Friends Factory pattern. So I'll just pop Platty out of the way for now, and we're going to take the pieces that we've already prepared. We'll start with the body pieces. So I'm going to be making his body out of this lovely camouflage fabric, and we need to have half of it duplicated and half of it as a single piece. So rather than drawing around everything and cutting it out twice, which is perfectly possible, I like to draw it around once, which means I get a nice close matching of the pattern, and then the second part I draw when I flip it the other way up, or I can do the whole thing in one go, and I make sure that this is within the fold, which you can feel. You pop that on, and then we have the other piece over here for the tummy. Now you can draw it on, I don't really advise an erasable pen, although I would use that for marking on other projects. However, what we're going to do is draw around the outside, which we can do quite nicely with a fine line, a fibre tip pen, but with a pattern that's as dark as this, it's not so easy to see a black pen lining. So I'm going to use one of my pieces of chalk, Taylor's chalk. So we just draw around the outside of the pattern pieces, and this is why they're actually put on cardboard, to make this process so much simpler, the drawing round. All those lovely swooshes that give him his shape, you can actually see on the pattern pieces. So there's one. So we will cut this piece out first. Long, smooth marks, long, smooth cuts, slices with the scissors. Do not hold it up in the air and cut up in the air, because that is when you end up hurting yourself. You don't have any seams to snip through, so that's quite pleasant. And again, we're less likely to cut ourselves when we're not snipping through seams. I managed to cut the tip of my thumb off, clean off, when I was trying to force my way through a seam not so long ago. And now that we've got those pieces, we can just run along the back curve. Now, if you aren't feeling so confident, you can of course pin the fabric to stop it moving. But if you're quite confident in your cutting, you can just, as I'm doing, lay the 2 pieces of fabric together. I would strongly suggest, if there is a nap to the fabric, that you would pin it so that it doesn't walk or move across itself. This is the rubbish, get rid of that. And then we have a body shape, and we have two tummy shapes, or rather a tummy shape and two body shapes. Now we move on to his feet and his bills. So we can pop these on, and then we want the arrow to be in the direction of the grain of the fabric. If you're not sure about the grain of the fabric, there are separate video tutorials you can look at for those. Now again, I could draw this on with the white. However, what I'm going to do is, in this instance, use a darker ballpoint, darker tip marker. Just so that you can see the difference between the two, and then you can make a decision on what you prefer to work with. I like changing it up depending on the fabric that I'm using, but you can see more clearly, I think, with the darker lines, the smaller, more intricate pieces. With the larger body pieces, it's not so much of an issue, but when you've got smaller pieces that need a bit more accuracy, then the dark lines work very nicely. Now we need 8 feet, because each of his 4 feet has 2 sides, not because he himself is an octopus. And again, make sure that the lines are in the direction of the grain of your fabric. This doesn't need to be a long drawn out process, it can be nice and fast. And the easier this is, hopefully the more confident you'll feel when you're cutting out. And that's all the pieces marked, so now I can just go through and cut them. And then once we've cut the pieces out, we can look at then transferring any markings onto the pieces of fabric. Now what I tend to do is make sure that any marks that I make are within the 1/4 inch seam allowance, so they will just disappear into that seam allowance, so that I no longer need to worry about it showing through on the final piece. Do the same on the body pieces. We will leave an opening for stuffing on one side, not on the other, and then with the main body piece, these are where his arms and legs are going to come in. So just a little reminder. And there's the centre. Arms, legs, and the centre of his nose. And that's all there is to it in terms of marking up the pieces and cutting them out. So I will continue cutting out the rest of his feet. And so there we have all of the pieces ready to be sewn into our little Plattie. I hope this has been useful, and if it has, please give us a thumbs up and like and subscribe. Have a look around the channel for some other bits and pieces of information. Lots of tutorials on all sorts of topics, and this is one in a series of 3 videos that go into making our little platypus friend here. And you can get his pattern from Funky Friends Factory, and I shall be putting a link in the description box below to the Funky Friends Factory website. They have awesome range of patterns, and they just do the cutest little faces. Very straightforward to sew, which is what you'll be seeing in the next video. So stay tuned, pop along and see how to actually put all of this together, and how to stuff him, and how to do the French knots for his eyes. So see you soon. Bye.